getting back to that middle school where you saw kids yelling, "Build that wall," and Latino kids there having to sit through that. And there's a litany of stuff now where you're seeing like Nazi graffiti or attacks on all sorts of people, women. I mean, there's sites now that are basically just collecting these things. Again, the Trump surrogates want to pretend that none of this is real now, like as if like, well, we only use that for the election. We only use this for the election. And here is Van Jones saying, yeah, that's not going to fly right now.
Muslim parents that are afraid right now aren't afraid because these kids with these signs. They're afraid because he said over and over again that he wanted to ban people of their faith. That lands like a bomb in the lap.
Coming into the country.
Hold on a second. You want to explain to me why people who are scared shouldn't be afraid, and you want.
But for you to say internment camps,
hey, I didn't say internment camps. People are afraid of that.
But you should correct that. You should correct that fear. That's not true. Donald Trump has never proposed internment camps. You have to correct that fear.
Kayleigh, you guys won, and you need to back off. You need to have a little bit of empathy and understanding for people who are afraid, because your candidate has been one of the most explosively provocative candidates in the history of our country. And there's a price to be paid for that. And hold on a second.
Let him finish.
I am not finished. I'm not going to be talked over tonight. I'm not. You have people who are terrified. And you have to take some responsibility for it. I am not spreading the terror. I am trying to damp it down. Let me finish my point. Listen. You have people, Latino families, who say, this guy has said he's going to deport millions of people. They don't know, should they sell their homes? They are terrified. That is a real fear. You have Muslims who have heard him say nothing good about the Muslim community the entire campaign. That's a real fear. And so they've heard him say, maybe he said it, but that's not what broke through. And so what we have to be able to do now, if you want unity, and I want unity, and I'm working harder for unity than anybody on this stage, I guarantee you. If you want unity, we have to hear the pain first before you tell people they're wrong to hurt.
And, here's the thing, is that he hasn't said internment camps. There is, it is perfectly rational to add a yet on the end of that. Maybe he never will. But, how do you deport that many people? Well, I don't know. I mean, look, could you deport that many people? No. It would be very expensive, and you would have to trample on a lot of rights. But is it physically possible?
No, it's not currently.
Well,
not currently.
Not currently. Yes, it would involve money being distributed out, and it would involve, let's say, doubling or tripling ICE's budget and having them create a special deportation thing. I mean, you could do it. He certainly promised it, right? I mean, in October, he put out a plan that says deport 2 million people within the first 100 days. His campaign put that out. Is it physically possible? Yes. Would it involve a tremendous amount of resources that would encroach upon civil liberties and terrify the country? Yes. Has he talked about putting Muslims in internment camps? No. But let's talk after ISIS attacks and kills 100 people. And the problem is, we can't have that conversation after that happens, unless we have that conversation now. Or we can have that conversation after that happens, but nobody's going to listen. That's why this stuff needs to be brought up now. That's why when someone tells you, like, it's going a little far, it's a little hyperbole. Yeah, the time to have that conversation is now. Because we got here 15 years later where he's talking about banning Muslims from entering the country because of something that happened 15 years ago. So this is a conversation that those of us who don't want it to happen here should need to discuss now. I mean, there needs to be plans on what to do in the event that ISIS realizes what Osama bin Laden realized, which is there's somebody in the White House who will actually do what I want, which is get their country embroiled in something that maybe they can't get out of. Because so far, Osama bin Laden's plan, like a T. It worked like a T. You look in what he wrote. We're going to get them involved here. We're going to drag them down like we did the Soviet Union. Well, you know, we're still doing bombing raids in Iraq. And in terms of where our civil liberties are going, I mean, the pace in which we lose those may even increase. You know, I mean, to a certain extent, like, you know, Obama may have, like, had us on the verge of plateauing. I don't know he was necessarily going against anything. He was on the verge of, like, plateauing. Like, we had stabilized, at least, in terms of how things were dropping. And not to his credit, many of those things were institutionalized. But that's the new baseline. That's the new baseline. After 9/11, they had the New York Police Department, in conjunction with the CIA, spying on Muslim youth groups all within
up till Maine.
Hundreds of miles, hundreds of miles of New York City. That's the baseline now. So the idea of, like, internment camps or deporting 2 million people, it's a lot less far-fetched than it was a week ago. I can tell you that right now. Lot less far-fetched. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.